Hello, everyone, and welcome to a game called Prescription Love. This is where you see the Love Doctor. Mmm. A sharp, blinding light pierces through my eyelids as I slowly open my eyes. My limbs feel heavy and unresponsive, as if the bed had become a part of me. What? I squint, trying to make sense of my surroundings, but everything is a blur. The sterile smell of disinfectant biting my nose. The rhythmic beeping of machines fills the room like a metronome. I look around, disoriented, my vision slowly coming into focus. I'm lying in a bed covered in crisp white sheets, and there's something strapped to my arm. An IV line? What's this doing in my arm? I'm in a hospital, right? As I come to, there's a deep throbbing ache in my head that feels like it's about to split my skull from the inside. Why am I? My thoughts are fragmented, disjointed like pieces of a puzzle scattered in every direction. My chest tightens as the realization hits me. I can't remember anything. What happened to me? Why can't I remember anything? I close my eyes, hoping for some fragment of memory to return. Think, just think. Nothing. My breathing quickens, my hands clutching the sheets in fear. How can I not remember anything? Why is everything blank? Every effort to remember ends with nothing. Just a void where my memories should be. Wow, sounds familiar. I try to sit up, but a sharp pain shoots through my head, and I collapse back onto the pillow. My heart pounded in my ears, drowning out the faint beeping of the machines. I feel my anxiety threatening to swallow me whole, when suddenly... Oh, why can't you just relax, then? Your anxiety can go away. Tell it to shut up. A calm, steady voice cuts through the chaos swirling in my head. Hey, it's okay. His voice was gentle, but there's a firmness to it, pulling me from the brink of panic. I slowly turn my head towards the source of the voice. A tall man stands beside my bed. He's tall, but there's nothing intimidating about him. He has a cute smile and light blue eyes and longish yellow hair. His hair looks a little messy, like he's been here for a while. Take a deep breath. Has he been here this entire time? Do you know where you are? No. I shake my head slowly, feeling tears prick at the corner of my eyes. Everything feels unfamiliar, terrifying even. The walls were too bright, too sterile. Hey, it's alright. You're in the hospital. Nothing bad is going to happen to you here, especially not with me around. The most important thing right now is that you're awake and talking. I take a deep breath, feeling the tightness in my chest start to loosen. His words were meant to comfort, and they did, in a way. How did I get here? Can you tell me that? But they also left me with the questions. So many questions that my head felt even heavier than before. Do you remember your name? All right, my name. What's my name again? Ah, yes, I get to name myself Mew. Mew. My name is Mew. Fantastic. That's a very good start. I should introduce myself. Go ahead. I'm Dr. Anselm. Anselm. I was in charge of your surgery and have been overseeing your care since you were brought in. Surgery? I had surgery? What the heck happened to me? Yes, you were brought in a very traumatic brain injury. You were admitted with a skull fracture leading to internal bleeding and the swelling of the brain. Emergency surgery was crucial to relieve the pressure on your brain. I stared at him, unable to fully process the magnitude of what he was saying. Brain surgery? I had brain surgery? My stomach twists at the thought. It was a very delicate procedure, but you came through it well. Since then, I've been monitoring you closely, waiting for you to wake up. You have been unconscious for a little over 2 days. The idea that I've been under his care all this time, that he's been watching over me while I was unconscious, is both strange and oddly comforting. I know this is a lot to take in, but I promise you're in good hands. I could see it in the way he spoke, the careful way he monitored my reactions, as if he was measuring every word to avoid overwhelming me. With the initial shock of my situation beginning to settle, a pressing question rises to the forefront of my mind. Do you know what happened to me? Did someone do this to me? For the first time, I saw a flicker of uncertainty in his expression as he realized it was kind of awkward that, yes, he himself had done this to me. I'm afraid I don't have the answers for that. I feel like as a professional, you should know exactly what has happened, please. You were found unconscious and brought in by paramedics. From what I can tell, the significant impact suggests a forceful blow, or possibly a fall that I could or could not have been there to commit, Unfortunately, I don't have any more details beyond that. There were no witnesses. The people who found you didn't see what happened. They found you laying unconscious on the floor and called for help. A chill runs down my spine as the words sink in. No witnesses? The blank spaces in my memory suddenly feel much larger and darker. This must be a sick joke. So no one knows how I ended up like this? I wish I had more information for you. Sometimes with injuries like this, the memory can be slow to return. Or it may never come back at all. But what's important is that we focus on your recovery. Okay. I swallow hard. The knot in my throat tightened. The idea that no one knows what happened, that even I don't know what happened. Will I ever get justice? Something deep inside of me boils. Frustration, anger, fear. But then I look at Dr. Anselm, the genuine concern and kindness in his eyes, and I simply felt safe. He's been here since the beginning, watching over me, guiding my care. Even though he doesn't have all the answers, he's still here, ready to help me. And that makes me super dependent on him, like he's always wanted. Thank you for everything. I don't know how to even begin to thank you. A slight blush rises to his cheeks, catching me off guard. He waved a hand dismissively, clearly flustered. Oh, don't be silly. You don't owe me anything, Mew, except for the bill I'm gonna send you after this appointment's over and all the recovery's done. It's gonna be like $50,000 for all the nights you spent in the hospital, plus the surgery. And I hope you have health insurance, because if you don't, you're gonna be in debt for a very long time. I'm just glad I could help. Really, I don't know how to express how grateful I am. You're too kind. He glanced away for a moment, gathering himself before turning back to me. I'm just doing my job. Watching your recovery, that's more than enough for me. Whatever happened, I'm going to do everything I can to help you through it. What about the police? Are they going to do something to help me through this too? Like trying to figure out who did this to me? Couldn't have been you, could it? I take a deep breath, feeling a little steadier than before. I could feel the sincerity behind his words, his modesty almost endearing. The way he said my name. It wasn't clinical or detached. It made me feel like I was going to more than just another patient to him. More than just another patient. Dr. Anselm takes a step back, giving a reassuring nod. I think it's best if you try some rest now. Your body still needs time to heal. I managed to grab his attention before he turned away. Well, wait, can I contact my family? Just to let them know I'm okay? They haven't heard from me in days. I'm sure I must have been worried them or something. A pang of unease hits me as I realize I had no family to contact, and they were actually not worried about me because they didn't care. Why hadn't anyone visited me? Oh, well, I'm afraid it's past hospital's curfew, that's why. I can't make any calls at this hour. But don't worry, I'll make sure to get in touch with them first thing in the morning. The thought of waiting until morning felt like an eternity. Are you sure? I know it's the hospital's rule, but the disappointment was heavy in my voice. He sighed and gently placed a hand on my head. I know it's hard, but right now, the best thing you can do is focus on getting a good night's rest. His hand rested there a moment longer before he pulled away. Your body has been through a lot, and rest is crucial for your recovery. I promise as soon as this morning we'll make those calls. Your family will be the first to know. Okay, I murmured, unsure but too tired to argue. Just try to relax now. The severity of my situation still lingers, but there's also a sense of exhaustion settling over me, pulling at my eyelids and making my body feel heavy. Maybe he's right. Maybe rest is exactly what I need right now. All right, I'll go to bed now. Thank you, Dr. Anselm. His eyes twinkled softly. You're welcome. If you need anything, don't hesitate to press the call button. Yes, Dr. Anselm. Rest well and we'll take more in the morning. We'll talk more. Anselm sounds like very close to asylum. Mental asylum. That's where you probably should go. Dr. Anselm. With that, he turns and quietly leaves the room, closing the door softly behind him. I'm left alone with my thoughts and the steady beeping of the heart monitor beside me. The room feels quiet and still, but there's this sense of safety in knowing that help is just a button away. I close my eyes, trying to focus on my breathing, letting the sounds of the hospital fade into the background. The weight of the day presses down on me, and slowly, as I drift off, I hold on to hope that tomorrow will bring more answers, and finally, the sound of a familiar voice. My sleep was suddenly interrupted. A soft creak that echoed through the room. My eyes fluttered open, but I was too groggy to fully register the sound. Was that my imagination? I groaned internally. I can't be bothered. I shifted in bed, wanting to go back to sleep, letting my eyes close again, eager to sink back into sleep. But then I heard it again, a slow, deliberate creak, like someone was gently pushing the door. Still half asleep, I tried to ignore it. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe the nurses were checking in. I reasoned, forcing myself to relax. I squeezed my eyes shut and tried to force myself back to sleep. But that sense of unease started to creep in. I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. Something didn't feel right. With a groggy sigh, I forced my eyes open again and glanced at the door. That's when I saw them. My hallucination people. A pair of eyes. They were peering at me through the gap in the door, the eyes almost blending into the shadowy gap, but there was no mistaking them. They were watching me. Oh my goodness, what are they doing watching me in the middle of the night? I don't know. The retin. I'm not gonna let this creep scare me. Ahem. Hey, I see you. I know karate. You better back off. The eyes stayed fixed on me, as if testing my courage. Oh my gosh, the smile is creeping me out, man. Alright, I squint, trying to focus on the narrow gap of the door. I can't make sense of what was happening. Was someone actually watching me? Am I imagining things? Please don't get over here. No, 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 don't, no, nope. I feel that. Then in the moment of clarity, I remembered the call button beside my bed. It was right there within reach of my lifeline to help. I fumbled for it, trembling hands, my fingers finally finding the button. The instant I press it, the eyes vanish. One moment, they were there, and the next they were gone, as if they had never existed. I quickly sat up in bed, staring at the door. The gap was now empty. I listened carefully, and then I heard it. The soft sound of footsteps, light and hurried, moving away down the hall. My pulse quickened, my mind reeling from what had just happened. Within seconds, Dr. Anselm enters the room. I came as fast as I could. I totally wasn't staring at you for the door. His eyes immediately swept the room, searching for some unseen threat. I could see concern in his expression as he turned to me. Is everything all right? You pressed the call button. Did something happen? I saw eyes staring at me. And then they vanished the moment I pressed the button. I watched his eyes scan the room. He walked over to the door, glancing the hallway before turning back to me. There doesn't seem to be anyone. You know, sometimes when we're exhausted, we see things that aren't really there. It's not unusual, especially when we're under a lot of stress and stuff, you know? I shook my head. Oh, yeah, man, doctor, you must be under a lot of stress from working all these long hours overnight by yourself with no other people in this whole entire hospital. Man, that must be really stressful being the only doctor right now, you know? I shook my head. No, I'm sure of what I saw. I even told them I knew karate. They were right there. I even heard the footsteps leaving after I pressed the button. Don't worry. I'll have someone check in the security cameras to see if anyone was in the hall. For now, try to get some rest and not think about it too much. I promise nothing bad is going to happen to you other than the fact that I don't remember why I'm here. That kind of sounds like a bad thing. He gave me a reassuring smile, but before leaving, but I could see the uncertainty in his eyes. As the door closed, I lay back down. I glanced at the door, half expected to see those eyes again. I knew I wouldn't be able to sleep now, not after what I saw. I wonder if this is going to change my outcome. Before I knew it, morning had arrived. I must have fell asleep somehow, despite the restless unease from the night before. I still feel exhausted. A soft glow of sunlight filtered into my room. As I blinked against the brightness, I realized that Dr. Anselm was sitting right beside me once again. Well, doctor, I must be your only freaking patient because you seem to be around me a lot these days. Good morning, Mew. How are you feeling? I'm okay. Even if I said it, a deep weariness tugged at me. But I didn't want to worry him. He always seemed so concerned, so invested in my recovery. I wonder how many other patients he had that he was invested in their recovery too. The last thing I wanted was to add to his burden. About last night, security couldn't find anything from last night's recording. Oh gee, I wonder why. Was there even a security camera in the first place? His words hung in the air. What? Those eyes. Had it really been all in my head? Sleep paralysis? Just a figment of my imagination? But I do hope you managed to get some sleep. I hesitated, unsure of how to respond. Alright, well, I, know where I'm cornered, so I'm gonna just let it go. Let it go. Yeah, I did. But the truth sat heavy in the back of my mind, a weight I couldn't quite shake, even though the memory of last night still gnawed at the edges of my mind. There was no use in overthinking it now. Trying to focus on something else, I reminded him. About the call you promised last night to my family? Of course I remember. I promised and I always keep my promises, except when it comes to telling your family about my crimes against you. He reached into his pocket and pulls out the hospital phone, handing it over to you. Here you go. Let's get that call made. I eagerly take the phone. I dialed the familiar numbers and press the phone to my ear. The phone rings once, then twice, and keeps ringing. I wait, holding my breath, but no one answers. Just the persistent sound of the ringtone, and then, finally,
Hello, no one is available to take your
the voicemail.
Please leave a message after the tone.
Seriously? I feel a sinking feeling in my gut as the call goes to the answering machine, and I realize all my friends and family were not concerned about me at all. I lower the phone. I can't hide the disappointment on my face. I don't even try to mask it. No one answered. Dr. Ansem places a comforting hand on my shoulder and grounded me into the present. His touch was warm and comforting. I looked up, and his expression mirrored the sadness I felt. I'm sorry. I know how much you wanted to speak with them. Maybe they're busy is all, don't worry. I sighed, trying to push down the disappointment. Yeah, you're right. I won't worry. I tried to sound convinced and stuff. Dr. Ansem gently took the phone from me, his fingers brushing against mine. I know it's not the news you were hoping for, but I have something that might cheer you up. Before I could respond, he stood up, the shift in energy catching me off guard. With that, he steps out of the room for a moment. Something for me? Whatever he had planned, I hoped it would take my mind off everything, even if it's just for a little while. He returns carrying a tray of delicious aroma wafting through the air. Ta-da! Oh, the mood did change, huh? When he sets it down in front of you. Oh, that's so cute. I can't be mad at you, Dr. Ansem, for brutally assaulting me and then kidnapping me and placing me in this empty hospital room. Not after I look into those egg eyes and that bright bacon smile. I look down at the plate, eggs and bacon arranged in a smiley face. My eyes widen in surprise, a small smile tugging at my lips. I can't help but smile back at it. Aw, this is adorable. It's like my breakfast is cheering me on. Dr. Ansem chuckles, looking quite pleased with himself. Eggs and bacon are good for the soul, but the smiley face? That's for the spirit. Dr. Ansem watches me closely as I pick up my fork, his eyes gleaming with quiet anticipation. As I lift the fork to my mouth, I notice a smooth golden sauce pooling at the bottom of the pan, hidden beneath the food. Feeling intrigued, I scoop up a bit of it with my next bite. The moment it hits my tongue, the flavor deepens. Rich, creamy, hollandaise sauce with a hint of tang, and it perfectly balances the savory bacon and eggs. The sauce elevates the meal in a way I hadn't expected. This is amazing. I'm almost at disbelief at how delicious this simple meal was. I take it. The smiley face is working its magic? Definitely. But the taste, that's what's really winning me over. The Hollandaise... What is this sauce? I never heard of this sauce before. Hollandaise sauce adds this smooth, almost buttery richness. There's a big grin on Dr. Ansom's face. He's clearly pleased with my reaction. I thought the sauce might be a nice surprise. Adds a little something extra to bring it all together. Did you bake this yourself, Doctor? It's really weird that the doctor's baking food for his patients, too, in the hospital. Do doctors do that? I don't think they do that. I don't know. What do I know? You weren't kidding. I take another bite, savoring the way the creamy sauce hits through the richness of the bacon. You could serve this at a restaurant. 5 stars. I've never had breakfast like this in the hospital before. Yeah, hospital food is usually like okay, but this is like delicious. Well, just wanted to make you sure your first meal felt special. I paused, looking down at the plate again, then back at him. Wait, did you make this? Mm-hmm. He nods, looking a little embarrassed. A soft blush creaks to his cheeks, and he looks down at the floor for a moment before meeting your eyes. Yes, I did. I know hospital food isn't exactly known for being well gourmet. I didn't want your first meal to just be, survival food and all that. I smile at his clear embarrassment, noticing the way he fidgets slightly, like he's not used to this kind of attention. Well, you really outdid yourself. Thank you, Dr. Ansom. I really appreciate how much you do to make me feel comfortable despite everything. It's like you always know how to make things better and stuff. I watched him flush at the compliment. This time, he seemed almost bashfully proud, a mix of shyness and happiness sparkling in his eyes. Well, I'm really glad to hear that. I'll always make sure you're as comfortable as possible while you're here. Hearing that is helping. That makes a difference. It means a lot to me. So really, thank you for saying that. His genuine happiness really shone through. It was clear my compliment had brightened his day in a way that went beyond mere politeness. As I'm about to finish this last bit of breakfast, my eyes dripped to the cup of coffee sitting quietly on my tray. I hadn't noticed it this whole time. I was enjoying my breakfast, black, steaming, and inviting. I reached for the cup, taking a tentative step. I instantly paused. It's rich, smooth, with just the right hint of bitterness. It's not just good. It tastes exactly like the coffee I make. Not close. Not similar. Exactly. Wait. This tastes exactly like the coffee I make every morning. How is that even possible? I know. His voice barely above a whisper. So quiet that I almost wonder if I imagined it. He's standing there, his usual calm demeanor in place. But there's something different in the way he watches me. What was that? The words slipping out before I could stop them. He just smiles, a warm, casual smile, like nothing is out of the ordinary. Oh, really? I narrow my eyes, still processing the shock. No one ever gets it right the first time. Not the exact strength or balance of flavors. I take another slow sip, almost searching for a flaw. But there isn't one. This is spot on. Maybe I'm just really good at reading people. His tone, light, like he's just making conversation. But his words send a shiver down my spine, though I can't quite pinpoint why. Either that or you got some kind of sixth sense. It's kind of uncanny. I shake my head, trying to clear my thoughts. Am I overthinking this? I mean, it is just coffee, after all. There is no need to make a big deal out of it or anything. He made me breakfast, Not to mention been nothing but kind to me. Why am I doubting him? It's just a harmless coincidence. It has to be. He chuckled. It's the sound, light and breezy. Let's call it a lucky guess. You just strike me as someone who enjoys strong coffee. But I'm glad I could make something right for you. His words are genuine. I suddenly felt guilty for letting my mind wander like that. He's been so considerate. And after my accident, I've been so overthinking and paranoid for no reason at all. Let's hug and make up, Dr. Ansem. Maybe I'm reading too much into things. I take another sip of coffee, feeling the warmth spread through me. There's no way he meant anything strange by it. I think to myself, relaxing a bit. He's just trying to make my stay a little more bearable, going above and beyond, because he cares. I shouldn't doubt him. He's done nothing but try to help this whole time. Me, of all people. As I set the cup down, I glanced back at Dr. Ansem, who was watching with that same gentle smile. The warmth of the coffee lingers on my tongue, and the unsettling thoughts fade into the background. Thanks, Dr. Ansem. It does make a difference. You're very welcome, Mew. As he glances at his watch, his expression shifts ever so slightly. You should probably get some rest now, he says, as though he was reminding me of something important. I don't know, I just had some, strong, probably caffeinated coffee. How am I supposed to rest on that, Dr. Ansem? You should have made me a pot of tea instead. You've had a long morning, and it's important you don't overexert yourself. I'm fine. No. Dr. Ansem smiles, but there's a firmness in his gaze that makes it clear he's not going to entertain any arguments. I know you're strong, but you still need time to heal. Pushing yourself won't help. He steps closer. His hand lightly brushed the edge of the blanket as he adjusts it over my legs. There's a tenderness in the gesture, something careful and deliberate. You need to take it easy. An unexpected wave of fatigue hits me, leaving me more tired than I anticipated. Whoa! Am I experiencing the effects of a food coma? I sigh, feeling a pool of drowsiness becoming harder to resist. As if sensing my thoughts, he offers me a reassuring smile. I'll be back to check in on you later. All right. With that, he quietly leaves the room, closing the door gently behind him. I am probably having a food coma. Dr. Ansem did say I need lots of rest. I close my eyes and nuzzle my face against the pillows. Time slips by. I'm finally awake from my peaceful nap. I rub my eyes, trying to shake off the drowsiness. Something catches my attention. Two eyes. The door to my room is slightly ajar. Why is the door left open like that? Was it? No, I'm sure I saw Dr. Ansem close the door before he left. Was somebody watching me sleep? The sight of a partially open door leaves me feeling on edge. I feel vulnerable, exposed. I sit up, heart thudding in my chest, trying to rationalize the situation. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe. Suddenly the door creaks open wider. A figure steps into the room. It's Dr. Ansem. He is back. Knock, knock. Smiling warmly, holding a clipboard in one hand and a small tray with medication in the other. I'm here for your checkup and medication. He notices the fear etched on my face. You look terrified. What's wrong? With my heart still racing, I explained quickly. I was taking a nap when I woke up. When I woke up, my door to my room is slightly ajar. It reminded me of what I saw last night. His face changes slightly to one of guilt. His gaze drops to the floor. Oh, I am so sorry, Mew. I came in earlier to clear away the tray and utensils from your breakfast. I saw you were sleeping, so I tried to leave quietly to not disturb your sleep. I must have not shut the door tightly. I'm really sorry. That must have been so frightening for you. I glanced over and realized he's right. The breakfast tray is gone. Like magic. I hadn't even noticed my initial panic. A sense of embarrassment creeps in as I realize I may have been overreacting again. No, I'm sorry, Dr. Ansem. I think last night left me feeling a little paranoid and all that stuff, you know? He shakes his head. You haven't seen the things I've seen, Dr. Ansem. It leaves you feeling a bit paranoid, just a little bit. No need to apologize. It's completely understandable to feel uneasy. I should have been more careful. Your comfort and peace of mind are very important. I'm sorry for disturbing that. Thank you, Dr. Ansem. I guess I just need some time to adjust, you know. Of course. He moves in closer to check my vitals. Let's get your checkup done, shall we? I promise I'll make sure to close the door properly next time. He places the tray of medication on a small table next to me. My eyes fall on the pills. So many pills. What are those for? He lifts the small plastic cup and shakes it lightly, making the pills inside rattle softly. Oh, these? They're painkillers and antibiotics. Given your injury, it's expected that you'll still experience headaches and occasional bouts of pain. The painkillers will help you recover comfortably while you're here and stuff. He pauses for a moment before adding, leaning back slightly as if considering the best way to explain. Now these, he holds up a larger white and red pill between his fingers, are a bit stronger. A narcotic analgesic? It's a potent painkiller used for intense pain. So don't be alarmed if you find yourself feeling more sleepy than usual. He points at the antibiotic, ensuring you're following along, then continues. Since I had to perform surgery on you, there's always a risk of infection. And I wouldn't want that to happen to you. These will help minimize the risk, ensuring your recovery stays on track. I see. I feel more at ease with the explanation. Thank you for taking the time to explain it to me. Of course. It's important for you to understand your treatment. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to ask. Your recovery is my top priority. Speaking of recovery, a question sits heavily on my chest. How long do you think until I make a full recovery? He lets out a gentle sigh before responding. Well, honestly, it's hard for me to say for sure. We can't push it or predict exactly how long it'll take. Some people heal faster than others, but when it comes to the brain, patience is key. It could take weeks or even months. Seeing the concern on my face, he quickly adds with a soft smile. I know it's not easy to hear. With injuries, especially ones like yours, we have to be patient. I am a patient, in fact. I need to ensure that you can get back to your daily life safely when you are ready to leave. I notice a hint of sadness in his eyes when he mentions the possibility of me leaving. It's a fleeting expression, but I caught it. Then, just as quickly, he brushes it off, his professional demeanor returning, offering the same reassuring smile, although it seems a bit forced this time. As always, your recovery is what's most important right now, no matter how long it takes. I can't shake the feeling that there's more behind these words. Still, I decide not to press further once again. Dr. Ansem quickly changes the subject. Let's get you settled with some dinner, shall we? He steps over to a small cart, lifting a bowl with a lid. He sets it down in front of me and lifts the cover to reveal a bowl of plain porridge. Compared to the delicious breakfast he made earlier, this porridge looks a bit bland. I can't help but feel a twinge of disappointment. He chuckles at your reaction. I'm sorry, it's not quite the same as breakfast, is it? I can't always be spoiling you and stuff, you know. Porridge is so good for you. It's gentle on the stomach, easy to digest, unlike that bacon I served you earlier, you know. I understand the need for a simple meal, even though it's not as appetizing. He gives me an encouraging smile as I pick up the spoon. Who knows? Maybe I'll surprise you with another special breakfast soon. I can't help but smile back. I'll hold you on that. The taste may be bland, but the warmth and care behind it make it a comforting meal. After finishing the porridge, I start to feel the heaviness of drowsiness creeping in again. It must be the medications kicking in. I struggle to keep my eyelids open. Dr. Anselm, always observant, knows how I struggle to stay awake. Let me take this away so you can get a good night's rest once again. He moves quietly, carefully gathering the dish and the tray. Okay, but you'll be back in the morning, right? Why, of course. I'll be here in the morning to check on you. Sweet dreams, Mew. All right. Good night. As the room dims, I hear him softly shutting the door behind him. A simple assurance that the room is secure and safe. With the door closed, I finally allow myself to fall asleep. For the grim situation, the music was very upbeat. The world around me fades. When my eyes open again, I'm not in my room. Uh-oh. I'm standing in a narrow alleyway. The air is thick, hazy, making it hard to see much of anything. I start walking, my footsteps barely making a sound in the eerie quiet. Something about this place feels familiar, almost like I've been here before, but I can't quite put my finger on it. The more I move, the more the sensation gnaws at me, tugging at something deep in my mind. Then it clicks. I'm dreaming. The realization brings a strange comfort, but also a deeper confusion. Why does this place seem so familiar? I keep walking, looking for an exit, but the alley stretches endlessly before me. No doors, no windows, no one else in sight. Suddenly, I hear extra footsteps echoing behind me. I'm not alone. My heart skips a beat. Just as I'm about to turn around and see Dr. Anselm trying to strangle me or something, my eyes snap open and I wake up to Dr. Aslam over there looking directly at me, deep into my eyes. Hey, how's it going? You're a little close, don't you think? I'm immediately greeted by the sight of Dr. Anselm's face inches away from mine. We both yelp at the same time, startled. He jumps back so fast he nearly knocks over the tray beside my bed. His eyes are wide with shock and he looks flustered as I feel. My heart still pounding in my chest, not just from the dream, but from having him this close to my face. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. Feeling shy under his gaze, my words feel heavy and misplaced, as if they'd only make this moment more awkward. Sorry, he stammers, quickly standing upright. I didn't mean to scare you. I watch his hands fidget nervously. I was just checking your vitals, and you look so peaceful, and, it's okay. I mumbled, cheeks warm. Suddenly, I'm unable to look directly at him. The room feels too small. There is a lot of silence before he quickly recovers. So how was your sleep? It was weird, actually. I had this dream about an alleyway. You wouldn't happen to know of it, would you? Something flickers across his face. A slight shift in his expression, like he's suddenly paying extra, special attention. An alleyway, you say? Huh. It's interesting. What happened there? I shrug, still feeling a bit off from the dream. I was just walking and I heard footsteps behind me, like someone was following me or something. But I woke up before I could turn around. I bet it all wasn't you, was it? It wasn't you, was it, Dr. Anselm? He listens carefully, his eyes focused to me like he's considering something. There's a moment where I think he might ask more, but he doesn't. He gives a small chuckle. Does sound like a strange dream indeed. But dreams are usually made up of random thoughts and feelings all mixed together. I wouldn't worry too much about it. I realized a breath, and I didn't realize I was holding. Yeah, you're right. You're always right, Dr. Anselm, because you're a doctor. And doctors are always right because they're smarter than everybody else in the world. That's what doctors are all about. Yeah. Thanks for that, Dr. Anselm. Of course. He gestured to a small tray on the bedside table. Anyway, I brought you breakfast. I hope you're hungry. Is that salmon and rice? A bowl of salmon and rice, though some of it has spilled onto the tray. His eyes widen in horror as he notices the mess. Oh no! I didn't realize that the rice spilled onto the tray. I'm so sorry. I could bring you a fresh one. It won't take long. It's just a little rice. It's no big deal. Before I can leave, I reach out, my hand gently stopping him. No, it's fine. Really, I promise. I want to eat it. It looks delicious. I picked up the spoon and take a bite. The buttery taste of the salmon immediately fills my mouth, and I smile at him. You said you didn't want to spoil me, but look at you giving me salmon and rice, making me feel so special. Oh my goodness. See, it's perfect. I say, my words muffled slightly by the food. His face softens, the guilt fading from his face. He watches me for a moment. There's something tender in his gaze, and it makes my chest warm. I'm glad you're enjoying it, even if it's not exactly how I planned. After savoring the final spoonful of breakfast, I start to feel groggy again and pass out. I wipe my mouth and glance at Dr. Anselm, who is busy tidying up the tray. Hey, Dr. Anselm. I feel like I'm in survival mode, so we're gonna go on a short walk with Dr. Anselm. I just need to change the scenery, stretching my legs for a bit. He immediately stops what he is doing and turns to me. I'm afraid you can't do that yet. What? It's just my brain. It's not my legs that are impaired. You're still not fit enough to exert yourself. I furrow my brow slightly. Not even walking? I asked, trying to push a little, thinking it wouldn't be much effort. His stance doesn't soften. If anything, he seems more resolute. Even walking will push you over the edge. The finality in his tone makes it clear he's not budging on this. Just outside of my room? Absolutely not. There's a hardness in his expression that catches me off guard. For a brief moment, I feel a small flicker of fear, but just as quickly as it came, the intensity melts away and his usual gentle demeanor returns. It's for your own good. Even a short walk could set you back. I need to make sure you're fully recovered before you go exerting yourself again. By walking, his expression has come. Do you have like a wheelchair or something? Could you push me around? No? But the memory of the sudden shift lingers. Still, I nod, reminding myself that the doctor knows best for me. Very good. The firmness of his voice now replaced with a tone of approval. I sink back into bed, exhaling softly. But I'm suddenly overwhelmed by the sense of sleepiness once again. Wait, did I take my medication? The thought floats lazily in my mind, feeling distant and hard to grasp. Man, doctor, you love me so much you want me to like sleep all the time? Man, that's so romantic, bro. That's so romantic. I try to focus on Dr. Ansem, but his figure starts to blur. My vision slowly fading at the edges. The room seems to spin. Before I can form a coherent question, I feel the warmth of his hand as he gently pulls the blanket up over me, tucking me in with gentle care, but as it all feels distant. I want to speak, but my body feels like my mind is turning off and I cannot even speak anymore because I'm passed out again. I'm pulled into a sleep before I even realize it's happening. I gasp awake, my breath catching as I sit up. I blink, trying to gather my bearings, my head foggy like I'm still caught in a dream. I sit up slowly, the weight of fatigue still pressing down on me like it's a heavy blanket. How long was I asleep for? Oh. Good evening, Mew. Oh, hello, Dr. Anselm. It's weird. You're always around and stuff. Always here for me. It's like, I didn't know I was praying for a private doctor. Is this going to be more expensive? I bet it is. I look up startled. It's Dr. Anselm. Hey. I rub my eyes, trying to shake off the grogginess. Evening? My voice scratchy, trying to shake the fog from my mind. How long was I asleep for? Only a few hours, days. No, few hours. You needed to rest, you know? How are you feeling? I paused, trying to assess myself. Groggy. Really groggy. Are you going to give me more food? I meant the words the words are slow to form. Why do I feel so tired? I asked, my voice a little sharper than I intended. I mean, after breakfast, I was exhausted. He doesn't flinch or seem surprised by my question. Instead, he pulls up a chair and sits beside me. Listen, kid, I'm obsessed with you, and you're mine now. The same steady patience in his expression that he always has. Fatigue is one of the most challenging symptoms after a brain injury. The brain has to work much harder to compensate for the damage, even for the smallest task. It can drain your energy faster than you realize. His explanation is so calm, so unreasonable that I find myself nodding almost automatically. I mean, it does make sense. Of course it makes sense. But why do I still feel unsettled? It's not unusual to feel exhausted out of nowhere in your circumstances. Your brain is basically working overtime as you recover. It's important to listen to it. My brain is telling me, run, Run as far away as you can and never return. That's what it says, Dr. Ansem. What do you think about that one? It gives to give yourself that rest when you need it. I'm nodding, but something inside me is stirring. Something uneasy. My gut tells me there's more. Something he's not saying, but his eyes, warm and kind, don't falter. He pauses briefly, giving the small cup of pills in his hand in a gentle shake. Here we go. It's time for your medication. Oh my gosh, here we go again. Another option. Alright. I'm in a passive mode, so I accept it anyway. I take it from him. The pills rolling slightly into the plastic as I tilt the cup into my hand. These will help. You've been pushing yourself. Your body needs the support. I nod, lifting the cup to my lips. The pills go down easily with a sip of water. You see, in the doorway, I didn't know that guy. I didn't know who was watching me in that doorway. But I know Dr. Ansem. I trust Dr. Ansem. Because Dr. Ansem is my doctor. My one and only doctor with no nursing staff or anything. My one Dr. Ansem, for sure. It tastes familiar, leaving a slight bitterness on my tongue, like always. I feel a little more at ease as the fog in my mind starts to clear, if only slightly. Good. Don't worry, I will take care of you. You'll start to feel better soon. There's something always so reassuring about him. His quiet patience, the way he never seems frustrated, even when I ask the same questions over and over again. It's like he understands, without needing me to explain. Thank you, I say softly, sinking back into the bed, the sheets cool against my skin. My eyes are still heavy, but I'm less tense now, more at ease. His presence always seems to have that effect on me. Dr. Ansem stays seated beside me for a moment longer. Then he stands slowly, as if not wanting to disturb the calm that settled over the room. If you need anything, just press the call button. The button is spelled wrong. I'll always be here for you. As the door closes slowly behind him, the room feels quieter, but in a peaceful way. Like all the tension has been drained away. I pull the blanket up around me, feeling safe, cared for, and finally ready to rest. Dr. Ansem's words linger in my mind as I close my eyes. I'll always be here for you. I'll always be here for you. With that thought, I let go of the last of my worries and let sleep take over. Trusting that when I wake, I'll still be in good hands. And that's it? I died? Okay, that was the passive route, I guess. I accepted what was happening to me. I went along with it. Now I do nothing. I want to look away, to close my eyes and pretend I hadn't seen anything, but I couldn't. I was paralyzed, my gaze locked with the eyes in the door. I squint, trying to focus on the narrow gap of the door. I can't make sense of what was happening. Was someone actually watching me? Am I imagining things? Nope. Insist! My breath hitched and anger flared in my chest. Are you serious? I snapped, my voice louder, harsher than I meant. I could feel the frustration boiling over, too intense to hold back. There was someone there, Dr. Ansem. I wasn't imagining it at all. I could feel them watching over me. And you're telling me there's no proof? How am I supposed to sleep knowing that this creep is still in the building? Dr. Ansem looks sad because he knows that was him last night. It was you, wasn't it? like my reaction wounded him somehow. He opened his mouth to say something, but no words came out for a moment, and the silence between us grew thick with tension. I'll talk to them again later. His voice softer now, as though my anger had deflated him. I promise I'll dig deeper into this. I don't want you to feel unsafe. He paused, a quiet sadness in his eyes that I couldn't fully understand. You're right. I'll make sure they take a closer look. Trying to focus on something else, I reminded him. About the call you promised last night to my family. Of course I remember that one. Here's a phone that doesn't work. Because... Okay, this is the same. This is the same. Can I try to call my family again? Of course, let me get you the phone. It's gonna ring, go to voicemail, and no one's gonna know. He leaves the room briefly, and returns with the phone in his hand, and dialed the number carefully, each press deliberate. I even double-checked the numbers to make sure they're right. I bring the phone to my ear, waiting for the familiar ring, but again, there's no answer. I frown. This is the second time they haven't picked up. Something doesn't feel right. I take a closer look at the phone and realize there's no signal. Confused, I ask him, why isn't there any service on this phone? Dr. Ansem pauses for a beat before offering a quick response. It was so quick I couldn't even read it. I can't help but feel the explanation felt strangely rushed. The room feels too quiet now, like the silence is pressing down on me. I sink back into the bed, exhaling softly. But I'm suddenly overwhelmed with a sense of sleepiness. Wait, did I take my medication? The thought floats lazily in my mind, feeling distant and hard to grasp. I try to focus on Dr. Ansem, but his fingers start to blur. My vision slowly fading at the edges, and the room seems to spin before I can form a coherent question. I feel the warmth of his hand as he gently pulls the blankets up over me, tucking me in with gentle care. But it all feels distant. I want to speak, but my body feels heavy and my thoughts scatter. I'm pulled into a sleep before I realize it was happening. Reject the medication. I stare at the small cup of pills in Dr. Ansem's hand. I don't know why, but today, the sight of those pills make my chest tighten with dread. He's watching me, waiting patiently, but something inside me snaps. No, I'm not taking them. I slap the cup away from his hands, and the pills scatter across the floor. What the hell have you been giving me, Dr. Ansem? I feel exhausted all the time. I can barely think straight. And you just keep handing me these pills like it's nothing. These are your prescribed medications, Mew. You know, they help manage your symptoms and reduce the pain. Without them, I don't trust you. How do I know they're not making everything worse? What if you're keeping something from me? Dr. Ansem looks stunned, but it's the sadness in his eyes that stand out. It's subtle, just beneath the surface. It's like he's holding back, trying to stay composed. I'm not trying to hurt you. The medication is to help you recover. You say with a smile. Without the pain will come back. I just can't bear to watch you suffer. But I'm not listening. The mistrust has been festering inside me and has reached to a boiling point. I'm not taking them. I don't trust you. Dr. Ansem nods, his face falling just slightly, as if my words weigh heavily on him. He looks at me for a long moment, something unspoken in his eyes. It's almost pleading sadness. For a moment I expect him to argue, to push back, but he doesn't. He sighs, stepping back. I won't force you. He stands up, holding a now empty cup, his eyes locking with mine. There's no anger in his gaze, just quiet sadness. As though he's trying to remain strong, but can't fully hide how deeply my rejection has cut him. He turns towards the door, moving slowly, almost reluctantly. As he reaches the doorway, he pauses, his hand resting on the handle. If you change your mind, I'll be right here, standing outside your door, not moving because you're not leaving. His voice soft, but I can hear the pain in it. I'll never stop trying to help you. Then, with a final glance, he leaves the room. The door clicks shut behind him, leaving me alone with my racing thoughts and the lingering tension. The room feels colder, emptier. I sit in silence, the air thick with tension of what had just happened. My anger still simmers beneath the surface, but the moment Dr. Anselm leaves, doubt creeps in. I know I shouldn't have lashed out like that, but something inside me just couldn't let go of the distrust. With nothing left to do, I let out a long, shaky breath, trying to shake off the exhaustion that still weighs me down. Maybe I just need rest. Maybe everything will feel clearer if I just sleep this off. But almost immediately, a sharp stabbing pain erupts inside my skull, so intense that it rips a gasp from my throat. Pain is unbearable, instant, and overwhelming. It's as if something inside my head was clawing, tearing, ripping to break free. I clutch my head in my hands, squeezing hard, as if I can somehow crush the pain away. But it's useless. My vision blurs and darkens, the room twisting and warping around me. I can barely see. I need help. I need to call someone. I need to call Dr. Anselm. And not Ghostbusters this time. Every time there's a call or something, I always do the Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters, who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters theme in my head. I reach blindly for the call button, but my fingers are trembling so badly, they feel useless, slipping across the bedside table in desperation. The call button tumbles from my hand, bouncing uselessly onto the floor. I know I have to move. I have to get help before the pain rips me apart. I force myself to stand, stumbling forward like a puppet whose strings have been cut. My legs give out beneath me, the world spinning as I fall. Crunch. The sound is horrible. A wet, snapping noise that reverberates through my body. It's as if something inside me snapped, but I don't know what. My neck, my spine. I hit the floor, crumpling in a heap. Mew? Mew! I barely registered the sound of someone calling out of my name. I can't move. I can't breathe. Please, stay with me, Mew. Mew! This is all my fault. Please, Mew, don't. But I can't and still hear them, barely, calling out to me again, their voice breaking, filled with immense desperation. My head hangs to the side, heavy and limp in their arms. The warmth tightens around me, holding me close, but I'm slipping. And then, complete silence. Man, this guy is never gonna reveal himself. He's not a genuine doctor. He's definitely some weirdo. Call out. Hello? No response. They continue to stare, unblinking, as if they were studying me, waiting for something. I squint, trying to focus on the narrow gap of the door. I couldn't make sense of what was happening. Was someone actually watching me? Yes. Someone's actually watching you. It's Dr. Anselm. Insists. I don't know, maybe I should go back. He's so sweet. He made me such a nice breakfast and everything. Yo, can I go on a walk, though? No, you can't do that. No. Accept it. I take it from him. Pills, like... I think there's only 2 endings. I am quite certain there might only be 2 endings. Let me check. Okay, so... Prescription Love is demo, right? There's 2 endings and we found both of them. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching this demo video. And I appreciate all of you subscribers out there who have made it this far, and the non-subscribers, and hopefully who want to subscribe now, because this is an awesome channel. Heck yeah. Totally, for sure. And I hope you guys enjoyed the rest of your nights or days or whatever. Have a great day, night. Goodbye.